What is the best bank for small business?
As entrepreneurs and business owners, we know that if we have a clear plan, anything becomes possible. And if you can have a clear plan, a clear process to create that plan, and a way to create clarity with your partner or spouse, you can drive to amazing heights.
All right. So if you're looking and researching for, hey, how do I find a great bank as a small business owner? Or you're thinking of starting a small business, man, I applaud you. I got to tell you, I have been self-employed. I started my first of 16 companies when I was 19. I'm 56 now. And it took me forever to realize that all banks are not created equal. So I applaud you for checking this out, and it's a great way to start researching. So what I mean by this is that the credit profiles, what banks are willing to do and what sort of relationships they're willing to have with people are different all over the place. So the primary thing you're looking for is a bank that does small business banking. I know that sounds crazy. They'll say they do it, but we have some very specific questions on how you can ask it. And then also, who will you be dealing with? Who's your representative? And what sort of relationship can you have with them? And then C, the third thing then is are they going to be able to help and create other relationships and introductions? So when I talk about credit profiles with banks, there are certain things where certain banks, they flat out won't make a loan under $10 million or $20 million or $50 million. And it sounds crazy, but they won't tell you that. It's illegal for them to tell you that. In fact, it's illegal for them to not, in most cases, accept a credit application or a loan application, but even if they know they're not going to take it. So a very, very simple question that can save you hours and hours and hours of time is when you start talking with a banker in advance, say, hey, how many loans did you make last year that looked like this? And if you're looking for $100,000, how many $100,000 loans did you make last year? And if they're like, I didn't make any. Okay, you guys have been able to establish that. Wonderful. Doesn't mean they're not a great person. They just aren't. They're not. Your loan will never get through that loan committee. So I personally like working with smaller banks because usually you can talk with, you can be friends or get to know somebody higher up the food chain. Sometimes you can even get to know who's in charge of the credit officer, or whoever that may be, depending on where your situation is. But understanding what does the loan process look like, meaning, is this going to stay here in this bank in this building, or is this going to go to New York? Are you going to be involved in this? Or is this just going to be a piece of paper that nobody's going to be around on? So understanding what that looks like, because a lot of times the smaller banks are happy to make the smaller loans, and they're also going to get to know the customer a little bit better. So I like whenever I'm building a team of advisors, and check out some of the other videos on the channel, because we specifically talk about how to find a small business accountant, how to find a small business attorney. When you talk to that accountant, when you talk to that attorney, you can ask them, hey, who do you know that's a great small business banker that can help make those introductions to find those right people? So then you start finding those people, and the question is, how many businesses like me do you work with? Okay, how many loans have you been able to make to those businesses, roughly? How many loans of this size have you made? If they start saying and they get animated and they're excited about it, well, they probably have a pretty good idea that you're going to be a good fit. Now, if they're like, well, we don't, or I don't know, I don't have that information, it's like, okay, I would encourage you to keep looking, because finding the right bank is going to be important. Now, an area I am not really well versed in, but I would do the same exact process, is for some of the internet banks. They may be better opportunities out there in different ways to see what it is, but you're not going to have as solid a relationship. And part of this may be impacted by the business you're running. So if you're running a local business, I've found that bankers can be one of the greatest sources of referrals and networks. You can say, hey, do you know anybody else that's doing the work I'm doing, or that I'm considering starting this business? Yeah. Would you mind, who is it? Would you mind making some introductions? Because then you can start talking to them and get a backdoor, like, well, hey, how have these guys been as bankers? They've been okay. Or yeah, actually they've been great. You know, my banker, She's the VP of the bank, and it's fantastic. She's helped me out on a Sunday. I don't take advantage of that, but it was fantastic that I had that relationship. If that was with Goldman or Bank of America, no way. So finding those relationships is going to be important. Now, the other thing is sometimes I've had bankers refer clients to me as well. They're great networkers. Not always, but sometimes. And finding the right people that connect that together is going to be important. So, and the final thing is making sure that this person, you feel like they share your values. Does it seem like the same type of, same schedule, same people? So, because I have some big, huge real estate loans with some banks, and I never see those people. I got a good number on it, long story on why I ended up there, but not really where I would go for additional work. I actually pulled all my accounts and went to the small bank instead. So with this, it comes down to when you're looking for how is it you define the best bank and the bank accounts for your business. Well, I think it's really going to start with who is the best banker and the relationship, and what is it you're looking to get out of them. Now, this is where your small business accountant, your small business attorney may make referrals, or other people in the business who are already doing it saying, who can you recommend that can help us with this? So hopefully you found some value in this. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can always reach out at aspiringsolopreneur.com. We've got a full course on how to help find and build that team of advisors. And please check out some of the other videos and subscribe. Keep smiling.